What's going on, guys? Your boy Fluff here. Today, bringing you yet another Necromancer guide. This one's Army of the Dead. Let's do this. Alright, as you guys can see, they announced the Season 11 starting sets, which we can see down here. Necromancer, Bones of Rathma. So we sat down, figured out a good build for the Rathma set, because that's what we're starting with in Season 11. So, the Bones of Rathma. This is the pet set for the Necromancer. So real quick, let's touch on what it does. The 2-piece says your minions have a chance to reduce the cooldown of Army of the Dead by 1 second each time they deal damage. We're going to have a ton of minions in this build, guys, so we are going to reduce the cooldown of Army of the Dead quite a bit. 4-piece, you gain 1% damage reduction for 15 seconds each time one of your minions attacks and deals damage. Max 50 stacks. So boom, every time your minions attack, you get toughness up to 50%. And then finally, each active skeletal mage increases the damage of your minions and Army of the Dead by 250%. And guess what, guys? We're using lots of skeletal mages. Now in the Blood Mage, we're focused on just pumping up skeletal mages. And we're pretty much doing the exact same thing in this build, except Command Skeletons actually does quite a bit more damage in this build than it does in the Blood Mage. The principles are basically the same, however. I will say that this build has a ton more freedom than the Blood Mage does. So let's get into the skills. We're using Skeletal Mage with life support. You could use pretty much any rune here if you really wanted to, although we do like the additional 2 seconds from life support, plus they look really cool. For Command Skeletons, again, we're using Freezing Grasp. We like that freeze because it procs of Charisma and Sentence. I will say Command Skeleton's Frenzy is quite good also. My basis for comparing all these runes is just running a bunch of T13 GR60s and comparing the times, and with my current setup it was the fastest, but we're talking about seconds here, guys. If anything I'm reading off here is going to be viable. We are using Bone Armor again because we are using Scythe of the Circle in the cube, and we'll get into that. But we're using the rune that gives us movement speed. We're not using Ingam here, so we just want to move as fast as we can. Then for our Army of the Dead rune, we're using Death Valley. It kind of sucks everything in on the screen. If you actually wait for your physical proc on COE here, pretty much one-shots anything on the screen, which is really cool. Now because of Rathma 2-piece, this is up pretty often. Now Army of the Dead, it's a little gimmicky. All of these runes work, guys. I would encourage you to test all of them. They're all fun in their own way. I personally like Death Valley because it sucks everything in. I also like Dead Storm a lot. I don't know why. It's just like this blood circle that pops up around you and everything dies. For more movement, we are using Blood Rush with the Metabolism rune, which doubles the health cost, but you get 2 charges. But we're getting life back so fast in this build from Devour, you barely notice the life cost. And then finally, again, we're using Devour with Cannibalize. I will say, guys, I do use the Numlock trick on this skill. So if you don't know how to do that, definitely go check out my video on the Numlock trick. But this makes it so it's basically like devouring aura. It basically just consumes corpses for you as you're walking along. So definitely do that, guys. Now the gear. We're using Rathma's 6-piece. We're also using the Jessa set, which says that when the target Command Skeleton dies, your skeletons are automatically commanded to attack nearby targets. And the second part, while your skeletons are commanded to attack, all of your minions deal 400% increased damage. That juices up our skeletal mages. For Julio, again, we're wearing Wisdom of Kalan for more toughness. We're using Circle of Neluge Evil. That freaking name, guys. But this makes our skeletal mages last longer, and we get 2 per cast. Must-have item. Now we're using COE. Again, guys, the COE is only on a 3-element rotation, which is so lucky. The Racers, Nems, spawning champions off Shrine is invaluable. It's amazing. And for the belt, we're just using a Witching Hour. And then for gem choices here, we're using Bane of the Trapped, obviously. Enforcer, because we're all about pets in this build. And then lastly, we're using Bane of the Powerful. This gem choice is open. More damage juice is nice. And we'll say, guys, you can swap out the belt for Gold Wrap, drop COE for Avarice Band, and then drop Bane of the Powerful for Boon of the Hoarder if you really like that, you know, gold pickup radius type build, and it works just great. In the cube, again, we're using Sith of the Cycle, just like the Blood Mage build, guys. This says your secondary skills deal 300% additional damage while Bone Armor is active. It reduces the remaining duration of Bone Armor by 4 seconds. So again, guys, you want to do your best to keep Bone Armor up at all times because it gives you movement speed, gives you toughness, and it juices up the damage of your skeletal mages. In the armor slot, we're in Tasker and Theo. More attack speed for your pets. It's amazing. And then finally, Charisma and Sentence. Pretty much a staple in any Necromancer build so far. You deal 100% increased damage to slowed enemies or triple this bonus against enemies affected by any other type of control and pairing effect. So anytime you're freezing, stunning the mobs, you're proccing this secondary effect. Passive skills, Extended Servitude's a must. It increases durations of your skeletal mage. Dark Reaping is really nice here also. You don't have to worry about your essence or your life pool. It just fills up all the time. Final Service, a DI. You will find you're just a little squishy right at the beginning of the rift, because you have to wait on your Rathma 4-piece to kind of build up to that 50 stacks. And you also have to try to get the 15 stacks of bone armor. You can be pretty squishy right at the start. You might proc this at the beginning of the rift, which is totally fine. And then we're using blood as power, mostly because there's not a lot of great options here. This will really reduce the time on Land of the Dead because, guys, the skeletal mages do cost life. They're pretty much guaranteed to proc this, you know, at least a couple times during a rift. Now again, I wanted to talk about freedom with this build, guys. This particular setup that I've just shown you, while I found it is the fastest. It's only the fastest by about a few seconds, and that could be all RNG, just maybe better rifts out of like 10. I want to touch on other variations that are just as good. In the cube, you can actually drop Scythe of the Cycle in favor of Relina's Shadow Hook. Just make sure to juice up your maximum essence, your Paragon, and the other passive Overwhelming Essence. This will make your command skeletons do more damage, makes Army of the Dead do more damage, and it kind of balances out. Again, guys, we're talking like 10-20 second difference here, not that big of a deal. I've also had great luck with running Command Golem. This is like a 5-second difference. I really like Ice Golem and Bone Golem here. Bone Golem will stun, Ice Golem will freeze, and that procs the Crispin Sentence. And they're both really fun to use. That also frees up, you can drop Blood as power for Commander of the Risen Dead, and that'll help you in 2 ways. One, the essence cost of Command Skeletons goes down, which is great, and the cooldown of Command Golem is reduced by 30%. So that means you can freeze or stun more with your chosen Blood Golem rune. And if you guys hate running, you know, builds without generators, I personally don't like running generators. I think it just takes up a slot. But you can use, again, Relina's Shadow Hook, then use Bone Spike, something like Sudden Impact to proc the Crispins. You shouldn't run out of essence, guys, between Devour and Dark Reaping, though. And then if you are using generator, guys, you can pick up Singularity instead of Life Support. Also a very good rune, but does require a generator to keep, you know, attacking mobs and casting these big old Singularity mages. I will say also that using Revive, I tried a couple of variations that use Revive as well. Having the skeletal mages out with the command skeletons and all the Revive minions, the minions just seem to like get in the way of each other, which caused my clears to be significantly slower, like 30 seconds to a minute slower. Well, it sounds cool to have like 30 freaking minions out. Doesn't seem to work that well, unfortunately. As you can see, super flexible in what you can do here. Now again, guys, you can tell if your mages are commanded to attack if this is glowing yellow. For stat prioritization, I just take a look at the Blood Mage video. It is a pet build, so attack speed's very good. I do like area damage a lot on this build as well. A good amount of cooldown helps as well because it makes Army of the Dead come back faster. But stats are pretty flexible in this build, and it is T13, you know, GR65, so it's not super serious, guys. We've been really impressed by some of these clear times for these pet builds. We didn't think pet builds could do speed rifts, but the Necromancer definitely can. And now you have 2 options, guys. And again, this is the Season 11 starting set, so this is a good video to pay attention to, something to start out with when Season 11 starts. As always, I'll leave a clear at the end of the video, very fast, as you guys will see. The reason I do GR60s is so you guys can see the time at the end. Obviously, a normal rift takes a little bit longer because you're stopping to like pick up stuff, examine stuff, but this clears on average 2.5-3 minutes. I never post anything, guys, that won't clear, you know, T13 in under 3 minutes. That's what these speed builds are all about. I also get a lot of questions why I don't post a lot of pushing builds. 1, because there's really only 1 for Necromancer right now, and you guys can find that all over YouTube. 2, I find that you spend the majority of your time in Diablo doing speed builds, so I always think that that's the most important build to really enjoy and play well. But that's just my opinion, guys. But that pretty much does it for the guide. Again, guys, like, subscribe, come over to Twitch, ask your questions. If you really want to help out, donations go a long way. We love you guys. Peace out.